Over the last few months, I've really been enjoying the Google Nest doorbell that has recently been released. And so today we're going to be checking out the Nest Cam Indoor and the Nest Cam Outdoor. A huge thank you to Google for providing these for this testing review. So first off, these are the new generation of cameras that are only available in the Google Home app, but these have added some new features. Now there is a free version. When you buy it, it's what you get, and a paid Google Home Premium version where you get a lot of extra features when you do pay for the subscription. Now over here with the Nest Cam Outdoor, this is actually the second generation. The first gen was the one that was originally in the Nest app, and now it can be in the Google Home app. But here, this is Google Home app only. It is wired. There is no battery in here, so it's gonna be a pretty easy install. Just plug it in, mount it, and you're ready to go. And some of the big improvements here are the 2K resolution. And one thing that I'm excited to talk about now is with Gemini on smart home speakers, you'll be able to ask for specific questions on what's been happening outside or on a specific camera. And now the Google Nest Hub Max is able to actually show those to you, or other smart speakers will tell you when they saw certain things happening. Now over here, we have the Google Nest Cam Indoor, and this is actually like the third generation. The first one was originally in the Nest app. Then we had the other one that was Google Home app only. And now we have this one that's improved, the 2K, and has all the Gemini features that are extra. And for my demos today, I'm going to be setting up the Nest Cam Indoor on an account that doesn't have Google Home Premium, so we can see what that's like, where I have the Nest Cam Outdoor set up on my main account that has Google Home Premium, so we can compare the differences on whether it's worth it to be paying for the extra. I really think it will be, because there's a lot of extra benefits, but then you can see what you get without having that subscription. Let's get started. Let's start here with the Nest Cam Indoor. So here we have the berry, but it also comes in snow as well as hazel. And again, this is wired, so it will need to be plugged in. On the back here, it shows it's 2K, has HDR as well as 152-degree viewing angle. And there we have that nice, bright, and vibrant color. So this QR code on the front, that is something you may want to save. That's how you get this connected to your account. So here, let's see what else is in here. It looks like we have a pretty long cable there, nice, with some cable wraps to be able to organize that. Here it does come with a plug, which is great. And here we have some anchors as well as screws so that you can get this mounted inside, as well as an instruction manual. Now, as for mounting this, if you want to mount it, all you have to do is place this on your palm and turn, and then you're able to pull the mount off like that, screw that in, put it back into place, and then you'll turn it and it will then lock into place. So let's get this plugged in and connected in the Google Home app. Now the plug is using USB-C, which is nice. And then here we can easily unsnap these and unravel it. And these are really nice to protect the cable. They may break, so be careful about that. But there we go. We have a little bit of cable unraveled there. And there it's now turned on. So on the device itself, you have a mount there that can be rotated and angled in any direction. So this is nice. You kind of just sit it on your table and you can have it looking somewhere, or you can mount it on the back here. You have the speaker, and then on the front, you have the microphone and the light indicating if it's being watched or if it's recording. So here in the Google Home app, it automatically popped up that the Nest Cam is here. You can go through the plus to get it connected to your account and go through that steps, but it's nice that it automatically pops up, and then we're just going to add it into our account. So here it found the camera, and then yes, we want to connect with this one. Agree to legal terms. In here, it's asking if we have any of these other cameras set up in our home. I do have some of them, but not in this home. So we're gonna go ahead and say no. And now we're going to create a new Nest network. A Nest network lets your Nest devices communicate with each other. By creating a new one, this feature or device will be on a separate Nest network and can't be used with your current Nest devices. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna create that so they can talk to each other to have kind of a better connection to each other. So if you have multiple Nest cameras, you have that feature, but here we'll only be testing the one. Then I'm going to scan the QR code on the front. And yes, I'm in. Then we're going to connect it to Wi-Fi. After removing the QR code, it is now ready to go. So here says remove it and save it for later. Then we're going to place it into our home. Let's go ahead and just add it right into the office. And now it's going to do its final steps to get this set up to be viewable in the Google Home app. It's now finished an update, and there we can see the live video right there. We can see that full screen to see how that's going to look. And now is what you could do is you could test how well this is connected to your Wi-Fi router. So take this to the location that you want to use it in and make sure that it's working properly there before you go through the steps to get it mounted. Now it's asking a few more questions. Are we mounting this on the wall? And we're going to say yes or no, and it's probably going to run me through the directions on how to get it. So there, it's going to play a video. But let's go ahead and say that we already have it installed. And then right here on the camera, there is a green light at the top, and it will turn on and remain on whenever the camera is active. So if somebody's viewing the camera, or if it's being recorded, just so that you know on the other end if it is on. And then here we have the option to turn on video history. So that means when it detects somebody, it's going to then save the video history. Now, again, this is going to be able to detect things for the last 6 hours and give a 10-second clip. That's for free. That's without paying any premium subscription. That will be available on both of these cameras. So we're going to turn that on. And then we have the option to turn on the microphone so that when we're viewing it live, we can hear what's going on the other end. And then here we have the option to turn on audio recording so that when it does record those events, we will have the audio recorded as well. So I like having both of those on. Depending on where you have the camera, you may want to adjust some of those things. And then here it's talking to us about the Google Home Premium with Gemini for $0. You can start with a free trial. I'm not going to do that here, but some of the other benefits is you get a full 10-day video history and 60 days of events. So plenty of event history, but again, you can use this without any of that. So we'll get more into this, but you can search for pets, you can catch specific moments and so on. So here is everything that you get with that subscription, but we are not going to do that. So we're going to hit cancel. And you can sign up to learn about new features and things like that. We're going to say no. And finally, we are done. We have been set up here in the app. So there we can see under my favorites right now, I have the app. We can also go under our different devices, and there in the office, we can see the camera. We can tap on the camera, and there it is listening to me. And so here you can see it detected a person, and we have simple detection events. So it's going to say if there's a package, maybe a vehicle or a person, but it's not very defined. It doesn't have all of the specific details about what's going on in the camera because we don't have that AI Gemini features enabled. So here we can see our history of those events, and we will be able to see all the way back for the last previous 6 hours. Now, one of the things we can do on this camera is maybe we have the camera set up in a position where we only need to focus on a certain area. So let's say we want it to focus right here on my camera and we don't need to see anything on the outside. I can tap on that little crop feature, and now it gives the pop-up to save changes to the camera view. So I can tap save, and now instead of being zoomed out here and showing all this extra info I may not need, let's go to an event there. So there it's showing a ton of info. So there I could have it focused just on that area. So I'm not getting all the other information, but it's kind of locked there until we go back into the app here and I can reset, and now we can see the full view. So I think that's really nice. I've loved that on the Nest doorbell. Great to see that here. So then we can tap here, we can go full screen, we can swipe up, we can scroll through and see the history. And at any point we can hit this. So then when we are at the live view here, we'll see the microphone down here. We can talk right through it. That's pretty good and loud, the speaker here on the back. And we have some other options where we can go and turn off the camera. So if you don't want it to be accessing any information, it is completely off. It can't hear you, it can't see you. We can then turn it back on in the app. And then if we go to a specific event, we can then tap down here at the bottom and we can save the clip or turn off the camera, and then you can skip through the different clips right there. So pretty simple. The camera can also be used in many other places. You can have it be viewed live on your different Nest Hub devices. You can have it show on your Chromecast. Here I have the Google TV streamer where I could have it view live on there as well. So you can do a lot of things with just the live stream on this and not worry about the events. But without having the subscription, I am limited to the last 6 hours and 10-second clips. And one more thing you do get is rich notifications. So there you can see the email it came from, the person was detected, and what camera, and you can see a little GIF of what was happening there. On premium, it might zoom in a little bit more and give you a little bit more detailed description on what is happening. And you can click on there, it will take you right to that event, and then you have the option to save. So I'll be back 6 hours later and show you kind of what that looks like. But for now, let's head to the Nest Cam Outdoor and get that set up. So here we have the Google Nest Cam Outdoor 2nd Gen wired. So there's no battery built in here. Now this does come in the snow color or hazel. And then here on the back again, it's showing that it is 2K HDR and a 152-degree field of view. And here is the camera. There we have the QR code again that you would want to save for later. There we go. So the wire there was connected to the top. And so that's going to be your outdoor rated wire. Here you have some instructions, as well as there we have the mounts and everything that we might need. So there we have the plug and the long power cable. This is 9-watt power brick. And then there you have the weatherproof cable. So we're just going to line that up with the lines and snap together. And that's all you need to do. And it is now weatherproof. And that is a ton of cable. So you'll be able to plug this in, mount it pretty high, outside, wherever you need to. And for the mount here, it is magnetized. So it just magnetizes on there, very strong. You can then angle this in any direction you want. And then to mount this, we would pull that off and you can twist this. So there are arrows to indicate which way you need to twist. So there we have a ton of different anchors and screws, and these are nice to kind of mount the clip to the wall so that it's nice and secure so that you don't have the wire hanging everywhere. So that's great. And for the mount, you just need to get a grip on there. There we go, popped it off. So we're just going to mount this on, and then you can easily attach this and lock it into place. And then you're going to put this on and you can angle it in any direction. Let's get it connected in the app. I've now plugged it in. It made it sound that it's turned on. And then here in the Google Home app, it's giving me the option to set it up here, but I'm gonna say not now. I'm gonna show you how to do it if we tap the plus up here. And then we have the option to add a device. And here we're going to just tap search for a device, and we can then add it into the home we want. And now it's going to look for any Google specific devices that are available. It might not find it, and it will then give me an option to find a camera. But there we go, it found it. So we're going to tap yes. And then here we want to set this up. So we're gonna go through agree to the terms, agree to the usage guidelines. I guess that is some important info. Here it says only use in temperatures of -4 and 104 degrees Fahrenheit or -20 and 40 degrees Celsius. Do not paint or place a cover on the Google Nest Cam Outdoor. And here it says to avoid risk of fire and shock, use the Nest Cam with the included power adapter that it comes with, and install in accordance with local building and installation regulations. So then we need to agree to privacy guidelines. And now we're going to get the option to scan the QR code right on the front. And we can then remove it and save that for later. Next, we have the option to help improve the Google Nest by sending stats back to Google. You can say no thanks. I like to do that, so I'm gonna say yes, I'm in. Then you're going to choose your Wi-Fi, enter the password, and connect to it so that it can then be able to stream all of its data. And we're gonna use the save password I've already set up. Now it's connecting to Wi-Fi. And there it is connected, and it gave us a nice little tone. And now we can remove the QR code, save it later in case you ever need to reconnect. And then here it's showing you how to remove the bottom, and there is another QR code in there if you really need to get to it. And it's asking where we want to have this device. I think I'm going to go ahead and put this in the backyard. You can go and create your own room, but I have a bunch of rooms already. And now we're gonna go through and finish setting this up. And because on this account, I'm using it with Google Home Premium, so again, separate account there. So we'll have all those different AI features available. And now let's check out some of those. But here we can see the live video option. You can hear me talking on the phone as well if I turn it up. And you would go and mount this where you want, or go to the place where you want to mount it to see if you have a good Wi-Fi connection. And again, you have plenty of cord to be able to mount this, which is great. And then here, gather some tools to be able to get this installed. And we're going to say that I've already installed it, and we can adjust the camera. And again, that's easily done just by moving the magnetic mount. There's not too much else we can do to that. If you can only mount it in a way where the camera's upside down, you can flip it 180 degrees in the settings. And now here it's showing the camera currently is on, and when that is showing green, that means it's being recorded. And if it's pulsing green, that means somebody is watching it. So here we can go through, it's gonna tell us about that. And now we want to turn on video history. So as soon as I click this, because I'm on the premium account, it's going to start recording every single second for the next 10 days, and it will have that 10-day relapse. And then it will record events that will be stored for 60 full days. Here I'm gonna turn on the microphone so it can record that. And here we have the audio recording as well. And it's already starting to pick up different events there. Here it has the option for familiar face detection because of a Google Home Premium feature. So if it sees me, it will be able to notify that Brett was seen, or I can set it up for anyone else that it detects. So we're going to select cameras, and we're gonna go ahead and turn that on for the backyard camera. And then here we can stay in the know to receive emails about this, but I'm gonna tap no thanks. And now it's finishing, probably gonna do an update, but there it looks like it is all done and ready to go. So now I don't think it automatically adds it. Oh, it did right there. We can tap on the live view. We can see me there. We can go through and see the history here. We can go in here. We can see familiar faces. We can turn it off and so on. Now I have my mount screwed in. Now there is the hole in the middle where if you have power coming out, you can go through there and then kind of lock in the cord there to come out, which is kind of nice. And then here we just need to screw on that mount. If you get it the right direction, it goes very easily. And now we just need to attach the camera. And let's look in the app to orient it the right way. And there, it looks like that looks pretty good. I love how wide this new one is. And if we go back here, we can see it is lining up right with my other Nest Cam battery that I have over there. So now we can see the full backyard. Now I decided to put the cord through here coming out on top. That way it just secures the camera a little bit better. You can't pull down and pull it off, but I guess you could pull it and unplug it there. So maybe you'd want to secure that higher. I don't know, we're learning lots today. Now, before we go and get these mounted in their official spots, I want to do a quick comparison on the quality versus the previous gen. So compared to the first gen here and the second gen here. Let's start with the indoor camera. So here we have the Nest Cam Indoor second gen and the Nest Cam Indoor third gen. So we can tap on those. Now this one is mounted a little bit higher, but it is wider screen. So you're seeing a lot more over on this side than you are on here. And if we zoom in here, I got the 3D print going. You can look at the clarity there. You can definitely tell there's a lot more sharpness over on the third gen here. Let's see if we can zoom in. There we go. We can zoom in about the same on each. So I'd say there's some definite improvement on there. Now this is a little bit darker room, but still plenty of light coming in to be able to see a lot more sharper colors, I'll say, on this. Let's hear how an audio clip sounds. Here is the second gen. Hello, this is an audio test. Here I am talking right in front of this 3D printer, so it's probably pretty loud, but how does my sound come through? And here's the third gen. Hello, this is an audio test. Here I am talking right in front of this 3D printer, so it's probably pretty loud, but how does my sound come through? Hello, this is an audio test. Here I am talking right in front of this 3D printer, so it's probably pretty loud, but how does my sound come through? And they both came through pretty good. Now it was pretty close to the camera, so maybe we'll have to do another real audio test of the new gen from a little bit further away, but so far those are great. Now let's check out the Nest Outdoor first gen versus the Nest Outdoor second gen. First thing I notice is the colors much better on the newer one. This of course is quite a few years old. It's been outside for a few years, so that could also change how that looks. Looks like we need to clean up the room, but there, zooming in, you can see a little more, quite a bit more clarity there on the little tiny scooter. So now let me walk around and see if that changes anything. Hello, this is going through the Nest Outdoor second gen. Hello, this is going through the Nest Outdoor second gen. But yeah, I'd say the new one much crisper in clarity all around. Hello, this is going through the Nest Outdoor second gen. But yeah, I'd say the new one much crisper in clarity all around. Hello, this is going through the Nest Outdoor second gen. But yeah, I'd say the new one much crisper in clarity all around. Now, because this does have the 24/7 video history, I can scrub through, and over here on the Nest, you can see, you know, of course I have quite a bit more data in there, but we can scroll through as well, and it loads pretty quick. Google has done some pretty great improvements on the scrubby, is what they call it. So there you go. I'm pretty happy with the quality of the new cameras. Let's go ahead and get them set up and show you more about what you can do with Gemini. It has now been more than 24 hours since we got the camera set up, so let's go ahead and check out what kind of footage we have. Now, it kind of feels like I'm being watched. Well, that's because we now have the indoor camera right here. So if we head to that, you can see I have the live view right here. So as I'm moving, there it is moving right on screen. So there, let's open that up. And then out here, we have the Nest Cam Outdoor. So we can open that, and both of those automatically start playing the sound from outside or wherever as soon as you open the camera. So here I've turned down the volume, and here you can see they look a little bit different. Now again, I have the Nest Cam Indoor on the free version, so this is without Google Home Premium, and over here I have the Outdoor on Google Home Premium. The Outdoor is on the 24/7 video history and the 60 days of event history. So if we first scroll through and see what was happening over here on the indoor camera, you can see all those little white dots. Those are the different events that it captured. So I've been working in here for a little while. As we scroll through, you can see just those events that it recorded. I'm moving around just because it detects whenever somebody's in here and it shows an event. So we can go down, and even down here this morning, there are a few more events. But as soon as we get to 6 hours ago, so right now is a 3:14, and there at, it looks like 9:50 was the first event that it has this morning, but I was in here at 8 a.m. So let's see, yeah, so none of those events are there, and that's the end of the video history. So that's what you get. So let's say something happened at night, you wake up in the morning, you go in, you would be able to see the last 6 hours of events, and you can click on event, you can watch it, and you would be able to download that event. So, or 10 seconds that it recorded of that event. I do wish that that was just a little bit longer, you know, up to the 20 seconds would be really good, but Google has increased from a 3-hour event history to a 6-hour event history with the new version. So that's kind of nice. But if you need more than that and you don't want to pay for a Google Premium subscription, you would need to go and find another camera. I have a lot of those that I've talked about here on the channel. So there you go. You have 6 hours and then the history ends and there's nothing else to see. And then another thing, if we tap right here, we can break it down into just the events, and you'll notice here it's just saying person detected, person detected. There's not any information that I was detected, what the person was doing, or anything, but you can see the specific events where something was happening. So here I'm sitting at the computer and talking on the phone. So don't mind the mess here. That's, you know, temporary, but that is what you get when you are not paying for Google Home Premium on the camera. Let's head over here to the Nest Cam Outdoor. So here you can see a little bit different. There we have a solid line, and here we have the thicker solid line. So in comparison, you can see what that looks like. Well, is what the light line there is that is recorded event history. So here, as I'm scrolling through, doesn't look like there's anything. Sometimes you do have to give it a second. Okay, there you go. Now you can see that it has recorded every single second of the last few hours. And where it shows the darker white line, that is when it has detected somebody. So there I was out in the yard doing some yard work. And then here again, it's not detecting anybody, but it is recording the sun going through. So here we can scrub through and quickly see what was happening. And I love having that 24/7 video history so that every single thing is recorded. Maybe it didn't record an event, you know, hopefully it does get every little motion event, but if it doesn't, it has been recorded. And I will say this is the fastest 24/7 video history of all the different cameras I've used. I do have an NVR that's recording everything on a bunch of other cameras, but it is pretty cumbersome to go in there, and the scrolling through is a little bit more work. Pretty possible, but then to download a clip, I have to put in a flash drive, wait for it to download. That takes a little while, and then I can save that. The Eufy NVR that I use does have the ability to record a very long section and save that so that I could then create a time lapse, where here on the Google, I don't have the ability to quickly create a time lapse. That's the one feature it's missing. But at any of these points, let's say I go to 11 a.m., I can tap menu, I can save clip, and I can save 5 minutes, and boom, I save 5 minutes. I could go to then 11:05, do the same thing, save clip, 5 minutes, save. So 5 minutes at a time, I can do that, and then I can easily compile those together. But the one thing I do wish Google had was a time lapse. So moving on, here we can go through and see what was happening. And okay, we're now way past the 6-hour mark here, 8 a.m., 7 a.m., right? So every single second for the last 10 days, it will be able to record. So let's see at night, was there any activity? Nope, nothing was detected throughout the night. And you can see what the night vision looks like. Looks pretty good. Here, it's just a standard night vision with the infrared cameras. And there we can see, you know, lights on and off. So pretty good detail. So I can zoom in there. I can see there are leaves on the trampoline. So pretty great detail in the evening. And then as we scroll through into yesterday evening, I can see a bunch of people were on the trampoline, And then we can see lights in it brightening up where it is the full color vision. And we can see a lot of activity was happening yesterday. They had quite the party out there after I set up the camera. And as we scroll through, there is when I got the camera set up. So you can see tons of information was saved with the Google Home Premium, where here I have a lot less. Now, if I click on this option right here, now we're getting details on what was actually recorded. So here it's saying it detected Brett. And then here it's saying it detected a person. It was in night vision, so it couldn't actually see what that person looked like, but it knows it saw a person. And as we scroll through, we can see some other things here. We have unfamiliar face and so on. Now I am wondering, oh, there we go. So I hadn't turned on the Gemini for Home camera features. That's a bummer, but I'm gonna go into the settings. And right here, I'm gonna turn on the Gemini for Home camera features. So you may wanna go in there, but that's going to give us much more details on what was happening in the event instead of just a person. Some other settings you could adjust is event history. You can turn that on for people. You can have it be notified. You can turn that on for animals. I like to know if they're in my yard, but I don't necessarily need a notification. We could turn it on for vehicles. So I do have a robot lawnmower. Hopefully there's no cars in my backyard, but we'll turn that on. And then you even have the option for a garage door. So if you have this pointed at a garage door, it can notify you if the garage door opens or closes. So that's actually really handy to have. You use that before, and even two garages, it will be able to tell you if one or the other opened. It doesn't specify which one opened, but one of them opened, which is cool. And then here you have the option to turn on for all motion, which we may not need to know about all motion, but we'll try it out for now. You know, I usually set something, try it out, and eventually I kind of turn off all the notifications, but the people, which is the most important one. So here, make sure the Gemini for Home features are turned on. And just to show you here on the indoor camera, if we try and turn that on, it's going to have us acknowledge the disclosure. So here we do have Gemini for Home where we can ask things, but if I go in here into the settings and we go to event history, there's only the 6-hour event history. And then under events, there is no option for Gemini for Home features. So again, those only come with Google Home Premium. But there we have a ton of info. So let's go ahead, click on the Brett option here. And there you can see it kind of zoomed right in on me. So one of the things the previews will do, will find and zoom in on the person that is being recorded, and you can scroll through here, see what they are doing. I was really hoping it would detect that I was raking, but it looks like I need to go try that demo again. So you can see in pretty good detail what was happening out there, and you can zoom around, pan, and then down here I have the option to save, and I can save the full event, which it says it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds, or I can just save 5 minutes from where I was recording, or 30 seconds or whatever. So a lot of options that have been recorded there. And then we can also filter it down if we want to find a specific thing, if we want just familiar faces, unfamiliar, person, vehicle, all of those options. We can select all or just have a specific option available. So right now, if I go to vehicle, there are no vehicles saved. Now for fun, I'm gonna jump into this other camera that I already have set up, and we can see some of those Gemini responses that have been created. So here in this event, it says person rakes leaves in the yard. So that's exactly what I was doing. Because this had Gemini for Home enabled, it can see all of those different things. Here it says a person walks and sits on a chair. A person walks by, 2 children run across the patio. And it will even say specific people. So there you can see some of the kids' names pop up of who was out there. So it's really cool that you have that more detailed feed instead of just person, vehicle, package, but it gives you a little more context of what was happening without having to go through and watch every single notification, which can save you a lot of time, especially if you don't want to just go through and watch every little thing that was available through that. In here, let's clear the filter. So it looks like I might need to go out there and do a few more things to see what kind of information we can get to it. Now, a few other tricks about the camera, and you can do this on either. If you swipe down, it's going to go back to your home page. If you tap on the camera, let's say you're just looking at the camera. How do we do that? We go full screen there. You can see the camera. If you swipe up, it will then show you your history. If you select an event and then double tap, it will skip through just like on YouTube. You know, it's gonna skip 10 seconds or so. Same thing over here when you are looking at an event. If you are live, so if I tap that and go live, I don't have the option to go back in time like that. You will have to go in and swipe up and then go to here where you scrub through to see that happen. I've now gone in the backyard a few different times and done a few more tests. Let me show you one thing I didn't enable before that needs to be enabled before you can see the Gemini camera features. So if I tap on the camera, and here in the dot we have the settings, and we're gonna go under the events, and then we're gonna go to see events. And down here, you have the Gemini for home camera features. I just turned that on, but that didn't work properly. You have to tap the manage, and then you have to turn on the camera you want to use. So then I had to turn on backyard camera, and it began being able to understand what was happening in the camera. So now that I've officially done that, we can go back, and under here, I can tap the button to change the view. So now we can see that we have more information about the different events. So here it says person places cushion on bench. So did I do that? Yes, I placed a cushion on the bench and I moved the bench. And then here it says person jumps on the trampoline. Now there were a few more events of me throwing the Frisbee around, playing with a soccer ball, but it looks like they may have all been included in this one event because it happened within a relatively close time period, but maybe it also caught that without being in an event. So you can do that by going into the search here, and you can use what is called Ask Home. And so this is going to be able to search through all of your devices in your home account to find information. So let's type in playing soccer and see if it can find anyone doing that. Okay, didn't find any instances of Brett playing soccer in the backyard. Okay, that's all right. Now the cool thing about the Gemini 4 camera is it doesn't only work in the app. You can also use features on your Google Nest Hub. So here I have the Google Nest Hub Max. It will also work on the other Google Nest. So let's go ahead and ask if it knows what's been happening in the backyard. What has been happening in the backyard today?
Okay, scanning through your footage now. This will take a few moments.
All right, so it's gonna go ahead and look through it, see what it can find. This will also work on a regular smart speaker. You just don't see the visual response.
In the backyard today, a person was seen picking up a plate from the picnic table at 4:19 p.m. And at 4:18 p.m., a person was jumping on the trampoline.
Okay,
Earlier, Brett was seen picking up a cushion at 4:15 p.m. There were also several events of people sweeping or raking in the backyard.
All right, so this not only is searching the one camera I have, but I have multiple cameras to see the full backyard, so I can see a full picture. And there we heard the same event that was happening on the phone of me placing a cushion on the bench. So if I see the event, so we can see all those events listed, and you can see they're different cameras. And if I tap on this one about me placing something on the bench, here it's then going to load that clip. So here we have the 2-minute and 30-second clip loaded, which is really great. And we can scan through if we want to. So here, not much is happening. So let's scroll through a little bit. Okay, there you can see that's when I was playing with the soccer ball. So me moving the chair and the cushion was just at the beginning. Wow, those are some really good skills there, Brett. So we can go back here by swiping and we can go through and see what else was happening. So it said a plate, that was actually a Frisbee. So it can't understand exactly what's going on. It's doing its best. At the bottom, it gives you a notice that says Gemini is doing its best. It may be wrong, double check. So you may need to double check certain things it tells you, but most of this is pretty okay. I wasn't sweeping the patio, but I was using a rake on around the patio or a blower. So let's see what this was able to capture. Okay, there you go. I had finished raking up all the leaves, put them in there, picked up the blower and went inside. So that was great. I was able to find that without having to go through and look through every single event that said person, person, person. You get a lot more details with Gemini for Home, and then it can find all of this. And in the previous video I made about Gemini Live and how it's now on the smart speakers, you can also find things like if the garbage man has come by, and it showed the garbage truck pulling up and picking up the garbage, which was so cool to be able to see on this. So you get way more information with the Google Home Premium features and Gemini for Home. So really cool that that has been added. I think that is definitely worth paying for that Google Home Premium subscription because it's adding so much more. I don't have any other camera that is able to do it that quick and easily. I can go on my NVR I talked about and do some of that searching, but I love how this is able to be accessed right from my smart speaker, all through voice. Now, one of the other features you get with Google Home Premium is a home brief. So at the end of the day, it's going to give you a detailed list of everything that was happening around the home, different devices turning on and off, people around the cameras. So let's go ahead and see what kind of info we got. So if we go under the activity tab, here it will show what has been happening. So here was yesterday's home brief. In the morning, Brett was seen raking leaves in the yard. Later, an unfamiliar person knocked repeatedly on the front door. And then during the afternoon, an Amazon delivery arrived with multiple packages. Brett picked up shortly after. An unfamiliar child rang the doorbell twice, and another child touched the snowman on the porch. In the evening, Claire, Carrie, and another person were seen on the porch. So it's taking all that info it has from the camera, a lot from the doorbell there, and compiling it all in one so you have an idea of what was happening on your home. You can tap see more. And then down here, you can see everything that was happening. Here it's showing every time one of my smart lights turned on, turned off, other motion that was detected. So here in the office where I set up the camera, person talks and picks up a plate from the table. So lots of information is being pulled in right there. There's where I place the cushion on the bench and so on. So I think that's a pretty good benefit to having the Google Home Premium and everything. So that was a lot, but that is pretty much what you get with the new cameras. Now, to be clear, both of these cameras are capable of doing the same thing, meaning is if I had this account on Google Home Premium, it would have all those same Gemini features available, but this is just showing what you get with and without the Google Home Premium. Now, both of the cameras right now have the standard features of being able to be used as live feeds. So here on my display, I can just go under Home Control and I can go into my cameras. Here I can find the camera I want to view. I tap on it and pretty quickly it is able to load that camera. I'll say it's much quicker than other third-party cameras trying to view on here. And then I can just have this sit there as a live feed, and that works well. You can also have the live feed view on your Google TV device. So here on the Google TV streamer, let's go ahead and check that out. Here on the TV at the home screen, if I just hold down home, I can go down to Google Home. So this will show me all of my favorites. So you can adjust this in the favorites on the Google Home app. But right here, we have the backyard camera. So I can tap on it and it will then load up full screen, nice, big, bright, and we can see what's going on out there. And then here, if I go down, we have the option to do picture in picture. Oh, there it finally buffered. So nice crisp quality there. And here we can do picture in picture. And now it's going to place the camera down at the bottom. So we could be watching a show or whatever, and we're gonna still have our camera down there at the bottom. If I double press the home button, we have controls where I can then move it around. So if I wanna change it to a different part of the screen, we are able to do that, move it all the way around. And then here I have the option to go back full screen, or I can close it. And we also can hear what is happening out there. So this is great to kind of keep an eye on what's happening while still enjoying your favorite entertainment. Now I've been playing with the camera and the Gemini integration. Now you can do that all from the speaker, but you can also do it right in the Google Home app from the Ask Home section. So right here at the top, you have Ask Home. So I can simply tap on here and I can ask a question and it will be able to search through my different cameras. Now somebody posed a question on, can you use the cameras to find things you're missing? So is it able to find little things? So let's go ahead and do some testing. So here I lost my tape measure. Can you find my tape measure? Okay, and there you can see that your tape measure is on the table in the office closet. That's crazy. And I did just put it there. A person picks up tape measure. So let's go ahead, tap there and see what this looks like. So there, I just placed it right there. I did, turn it the other way so you may be able to recognize it better, but I just can't believe that it can understand a tape measure. All right, that was pretty good. Let's try another one. Have you seen my blue screwdriver? Okay, I did just place it at the same time as the tape measure, so let's see if it can find specifically the blue screwdriver because there are some other black screwdrivers sitting there. Yes, I can see a blue screwdriver on a gray folding chair in the office closet. Now that's getting very detailed on what it can do. So there it sees there is the blue screwdriver on the gray chair. That's pretty great. All right, so another problem I have often is I wanna know if there were things left out on the yard so that I can send out my robot mower. So let's see if the backyard grass is clear. Is the backyard grass clear of debris or toys? I'm sorry I wasn't able to check the backyard camera at this moment. Okay, that's interesting. Do we need to pick up the yard in the backyard? So here it says no, but then it says the backyard grass is not clear. The backyard camera currently shows a scooter, a red ball, and a blue disc on the grass. So there it kind of contradicted itself, but it knows that there are things on the grass that we need to go and pick up, but there it didn't leave any video for me to link to. Let's ask another question about this topic. On the backyard camera, was anything left on the grass? Now here, as it is diagnosing your query, does take a little bit of time, but I think it's pretty cool that it's able to search directly what it sees versus in the past or present, and just being able to do that without having my eyes to look through is pretty incredible. Okay, so here you can see there we have some better details. It says, yes, on the backyard grass, the live view shows a scooter, a red ball, a small blue disc, a trampoline, and a brown chair. So here it says a person places a scooter. Who could have been doing that? Let's see what we can see here. So there we go. Somebody placed, Brett, I can't believe you left those things out there. So saw the Frisbee, saw the scooter, there it saw a chair. All right, now I want to get really detailed. So if you can see right here, that is a little red cup. So let's see if it can recognize that in any way. Okay, so let's try this. Is there a red cup on the backyard? No, I don't see a red cup on the backyard. There is a red ball in the grass. Okay, so that's very tiny detailed on the yard. So it's okay if it didn't get that. But I think over time, it could be able to advance to understand that might be a piece of garbage or something like that. So overall, adding more details to the Ask Home is really cool on the things that it can do, being able to find things that are seen in the camera and other things that the camera saw so that you can quickly find things and understand more about what is going on around your home. And then the other thing we use our current Google Nest indoor camera for is a baby monitor. So we have it viewing the baby in the room, and we can have a notification when sound is heard. So if he makes a sound, it will tell us that somebody's talking. So let's see if we can do that same thing right on here. So here, if I go into the settings of the camera, we can see different events here. Let's see, we have an audio here. So that's just recording audio volume. So that's just showing volume, camera volume, audio, but let's see if there are any notifications for audio. So here we have people heard, nothing about audio. So I do know that that has changed, which is a pretty big bummer. I love being able to have it just notify me if it heard sound, but we're not seeing that here on the new cameras. Another feature like the time lapse that would be great to be added here. Let's check one more thing in notifications. So you have push notifications, away notifications, people seen. So I don't see any audio notifications on the free version. Oh, here you can even increase the maximum resolution there. And then over here with Google Home Premium, I do have the heard option, but it's only for carbon monoxide alarms as well as smoke alarms. I'm not seeing anything to do with people talking. So a little bit of a bummer there, but there you go. That is what you get with the new Google Nest Cam Indoor as well as the new Google Nest Cam Outdoor. So if you have any further questions about any of these, please let me know down in the comments below. I think I'll do a full video on all the different settings there are and kind of how to customize them for what you want it to do in your home. So if this video is helpful, please leave a like down below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.